Sports. And alongside me today is my boy, Jesse Santos, here to talk about UFC's welterweight champion, Kamaru Usman. What's up, brother?
How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Just went out with some of my friends earlier today and just had some good-ass pizza.
I don't know. I wasn't there, so.
Oh, okay. You weren't there. Okay, cool. All right, man. Well, I wanted to bring you on. Guys, for y'all who don't know who are watching this video for the first time, I've had my boy Jesse here on the podcast multiple times talk about either boxing or MMA fights. Jesse, tell the people a little bit about your experiences, kind of like as why I bring you on over anyone else.
I did boxing and jiu-jitsu for a long time. It's been so many years that I've done it, so I just don't even remember. But I did it for a while, pretty much all my life. So I got some decent insight on boxing and MMA specific topics.
Okay. Did you ever do any like amateur fights or anything like that for the people who know?
Just like real intense sparring during like my training and stuff like that. No amateur fights, just because moving around and stuff as a kid and as a teenager, I didn't really have the opportunity, but would have been fun if I did it.
Cool. Have you ever thought about actually getting into like going into pro or anything like that? Or, like thoughts in your brain on that?
I had thoughts until I got bigger, and then I see the people that are pros in the heavyweight, weight class. And it's steep competition there, so I think I'll just take my losses on that one. And
guys, for y'all don't know, I mean, Jesse Santos here is my tallest friend at like 6'4", like 500 pounds. No,
500, yeah.
All muscle though. All muscle. I'm different. I'm all flubber. You're all muscle.
All flubber.
All right, man. Well, I want to bring you on because I wanted to talk about Kamaru Usman. As you know, man, Kamaru Usman's already defended like his title like what 3 or 4 times. Like he's on a roll. He's still an animal. Like no one in the UFC has a way simply to stop him. It looks like. Did you watch his last fight, UFC 258?
I did.
What were your thoughts on that? The first round was crazy, wasn't it?
He looked good, man. He's conditioned really well. His cardio game is insane. Like he just seems like he doesn't get tired. His striking is top tier for sure. The jab wins him a lot of fights, and a lot of people in MMA they do a fake jab. And his is not a fake jab by any means. He throws full force with it, which is what I like. He looks very good.
Do you feel like he's powerful as far as his striking? Because there's a lot of talks that he doesn't have much power behind his hits, but the jab seems perfected to his game.
He seems like, to me, he has kind of like a stick and move mentality. Right, he'll throw a jab and he'll move around, or he'll throw a hook and he'll move around. It's just nobody likes getting hit or kicked. I mean, kicks could end your whole fight. I mean, we saw that before.
Yeah.
So he seems like a stick and move. Everybody's got some sort of power, especially in his weight class. He's a lighter person, so I definitely think he's got some power. I mean, nobody wants to get hit again, so I would probably stick and move as well.
And he's a very big 170. He's not small. Like we talk about like Jorge Masvidal, who's been like in the lightweight and welterweight divisions. Like he doesn't seem like the biggest, but his record speaks for himself, right? For like Jorge. But like, so we saw the fight. He got rocked. Gilbert Burns actually hurt him, dropped him, and I think he clearly won the first round, right? But but then afterwards, it's just what you're saying, Usman with the jabs and everything like that for the second, and then finishing him off in the third. It's just, I mean, what went wrong for Gilbert Burns?
I think just the push, the drive after the first round. He was like, all right, cool, I got him. I hurt him. He put him in an uncomfortable spot, which is great, but you have to keep that same energy. You got to keep pushing on, and you got to keep fighting the way you were in the first round instead of pushing first round, cool, you stuck him, and then the next rounds after that, you're slower because you gassed yourself out, or you're overstepping now, and now Usman being, him,
Yeah.
he capitalized on your mess ups and he jabbed you to death, essentially.
Now that was, I think, literally for my recollection right now, right? The first time I saw Usman actually hurt in a fight. Like, I don't think, as much of the great scrap that between him and Colby, I don't think Colby really hurt Usman. Masvidal only had 6 days of training or 6 days to cut weight and then fight him, and didn't really get to perform at his best, right? So I feel like this was like the first time someone actually hurt Usman. Now, Burns says he went his Cody Garbrandt. He went all Cody Garbrandt after he hurt him, and he got and that's where everything went away. Like, he didn't keep his composure. He went freaking crazy in there, and then, like you said, just lost him the fight.
You get that hunger after you hit somebody and you rock them. You get that hunger to want to finish it right then and there. There's a couple of times where I've seen people push for that hunger, and then boom, they're the ones who lose the fight. And obviously that's the way it turned out. It's just unfortunate. You push at the wrong time where, nothing lines up. Sometimes you just don't have that anymore.
In a rematch were to happen down the road, does Burns able to finish Usman, or do you think the same result?
If Usman stays the same way he is right now, I think it'll be the same result. Obviously, after the first fight, you have an understanding of how that person is. So I think it would be a much more competitive fight. Not saying that this one wasn't competitive, but just, I guess, a little more even.
Okay. They used to be sparring partners, like, for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then Burns got up the rankings, and then Usman left the camp, I believe. So they knew each other. I mean, when you used to train boxing, jiu-jitsu, and all this stuff, when you would train, could you tell immediately after you sparred with whoever that you were the better one, or if they were the better one?
I did a lot of boxing with a lot of people who were doing this way longer than I was. Mm-hmm. My advantage is I got long arms and I'm bigger. So getting in the ring with somebody who's very experienced it's like night and day, man. Like, you almost feel like you can't walk because it almost looks like they know what you're gonna do. So sparring with somebody, you definitely know, but everybody moves differently. Nobody moves the same. So you spar with somebody for a year or two, and then they leave, and now you guys are both separate. They're going to start moving different too, and you're not going to have that same recollection that you had when you first did it.
Yeah, because Burns was very confident in himself that he could take Usman because they were sparring partners, and that, I mean, did he rely too much on that maybe?
He looked good, right? Like, he looked like he was strong, and he looked like he could probably be a decent contender for him. I would still put my money on Usman all day. But I think you get comfortable because you think you know what's going to happen. But you can't predict the future, right? You got to plan until you get hit in the face, and then it's a different plan.
Right. All right. So what do you think is next for Usman? And let me ask you this first. Do you think the welterweight division is being a little bitch?
Elaborate for me a little bit.
I should elaborate, right? So we got people that talk a lot in the welterweight division. There are a lot of talkers, and don't get me wrong, when they're actually in the cage, they're actually fucking fantastic fighters. I'm talking about Usman himself. I'm talking about Covington. I'm talking about Leon Edwards. I'm talking about Jorge Masvidal. Do you think these guys talk way too much when they should be in the cage fighting?
There's one person who can always talk shit, right? It's the champion. The champion can talk shit because he's top dog. And no matter what fight he goes into, he's at the disadvantage because he's got to defend the title. If he wins, they're going to say you were supposed to win. If he loses, oh, you were a cheap champion, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
They do talk a lot of shit. I will be in agreement with that. Like, they do talk a lot. And I think what's next for him, I don't really see anybody to be his number one contender.
No one's right there in your opinion.
I thought Burns was probably going to be it, and he did a good job. He did a very good job, but I don't see him being the number one contender. You know, he broke him down already. Masvidal walked that fight. That fight was...
It's what you expected with an Usman fight versus a striker.
Covington, he's very good. He does let his mouth get ahead of him, so I don't think that would be the fight for him either. I don't really see anybody in his level right now.
So here are the talks right now as far as what they want to do or try to do. Gilbert Burns wants Colby Covington. Leon Edwards was supposed to have Hamza Chimaev, but he backed out because COVID-related issues for like a long time. So he's getting sent to Vegas to see a doctor. Leon Edwards is getting Bilal Muhammad, and Usman called out Jorge Masvidal because Masvidal has been running his mouth saying, if I didn't have just a week to prepare, if I had 3 weeks, I can whoop your ass. And I guess Usman took that really personally and whatever, and he wants Masvidal just to shut him up. And in fairness, you know, Masvidal was a number one contender. Prior to that, he just wasn't getting the contract pay that he wanted and shit like that. I think the result would be the same, but I think it's fair to give him another shot because for more time.
I like Masvidal. He's a fun dude to watch for sure. He got a lot of hype after that flying knee, so like everybody expects that out of him. You know what I mean? But he's a street fighter, is what it is. He's a Kimbo Slice, just better. He's not on Usman's level. He's not. I'm sorry. No disrespect to him, but he's not on that level. Usman is at a different level. There's nobody for him.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably true. Now, of course, if the rematch happens, same result, or you think we'll actually get a finish? Well, I don't think Masvidal has ever been finished in his 13 losses.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of losses for sure.
A lot of split decisions, though. There were a lot of split decisions, and you could either go either way.
Yeah, I do think someone would get finished. You know, the bantering and shit talking will eventually get to somebody, and then they will fight until somebody's down. Just kind of like that shut up moment.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it before. You know, you've seen Bisping do that. I think Masvidal would probably get knocked out this time.
Oh.
I don't know of what fashion, if it's punching or it's something. I do know that he would definitely be the one to lose.
Now, with Usman's win over Burns, he tied the record, I think, with GSP, or broke the record for the most welterweight wins, right? There are people arguing that Usman is better than GSP, Georges St-Pierre. Do you agree with that?
No. GSP's he's been doing this for a long time, and that's the man right now. But he's not. I know that a lot of people want to see him come back, and I saw his tweet of Usman's fight was not something that would bring him back. You know, I don't see it either. I don't think it's a fight to bring him back. You know,
and he's older too. He doesn't train as much as Usman does. I mean, I'm pretty sure he does light training, but not like serious like competition training compared to like how he used to do it. I mean, now he has hair. Like, he's feeling good in life if he's letting his hair grow.
Well, and he, like you said, he's older. You know, even as time goes on, you're not gonna be as fast as you were. You're not gonna be what you used to be. So I don't think it's worth it for him to come back for that. And again, I don't agree on the whole. I'm a big name, so I just get a championship fight out the gate. I don't like that. I feel like you should prove yourself, because then if they just throw you into a championship fight because you got a big name and you get walked, then that was a waste of time.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people could say it was different too. Like, he got called out for the UFC middleweight title, and then he ended up destroying Bisping himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but then again, Bisping only has one eye, so you know.
And now it's a glass eye, and he takes it out.
Yeah. So,
I don't think it's worth it for GSP. I do think GSP is the number one still. Everybody can be dethroned, you know what I mean? So if Usman keeps going the way he's going, I'm sure he could dethrone him, and that's how records go. They're meant to be broken.
All right, bet. All right, last topic of the day. Now that we've established that Usman will always be number 2 to GSP until he does something fucking amazing.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk, and this came up from UFC featherweight Cub Swanson. Should MMA reporters, media, whatever, he suggests at least 3 amateur fights for experience before they actually do work. Do you agree that media members should have some type of experience like that before they start judging fighters?
Jesus, amateur fights that's a big statement, man. I mean, even amateur fights are intense. I think they should have experience in fighting, meaning like you should have some sort of boxing or some mixed martial arts experience, just so you know. Mm-hmm. Right? So let's say you don't have any experience in fighting whatsoever. Somebody who's bloodied up and swollen, you might think, oh, they lost the fight. But then you might not be seeing the other end of it.
Yeah.
So I do think they need some experience. I don't think they need to be fighters. I don't think they need to be someone who's fighting in amateur fights to become a reporter. That's a little crazy. I don't know about that one.
But let's say, what about media members who truly study the game? Like let's be honest, like most media members that are like big, like Ariel Helwani or John Morgan, Luke Thomas, all this shit, like take away anything that they probably have trained for, anything like that. They've seen a lot of fights. They've calculated it. They've absorbed so much knowledge just from seeing them, and they've interviewed so many people that they learn more and more by the conversation, by what they see. So like, is it really like required? Like, what is fighters? I mean, I don't want to say like issues. Like, what makes them tick that they think that a media member needs to almost be at their level to talk to them?
So I mean, they've seen a lot of fights. They've interviewed a lot of people, so they do know what the fight game is about. But like, let's look at Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. Joe Rogan he used to do the fight interviews and stuff like that, and he's a fighter. Like, he will beat your ass.
He's beastly.
And there's certain things that Joe will ask you that most people won't, because it's a fighter mentality type of deal.
Like a respect.
Yeah, and you have a different respect for the game when you've been in it.
Okay. I get it. Like, I have no issue. Like, right. Like, I have a little bit of like little bit, like 3 years experience of like fucking martial arts, but it isn't like at the level that, fucking pros or like even the amateurs. Yeah. Like, I give a lot of respect to the amateurs that get in there, because that's not easy. Jay, how many amateur fights do boxers have before they go pro?
I mean, tons. You'll see some people will fight, 10 or 20 fights before they even consider going pro. You have the oddballs like Tyson, who went into an Olympic fight and beat the number 1 boxer in the Olympics, and now he's a pro. But most people fight a lot of fights because you're trying to get that fight sense, because the fight doesn't make you nervous. It's the anticipation of getting punched that makes you nervous. Mm-hmm. So that's what amateur fights prepare you for. once you get over the fact that, yeah, you're going to get punched, then fighting is fighting. You know what I mean? It's not rocket science.
Then why doesn't everybody just take the lesson from Cobra Kai? Just get hit in the face once and then that's it. You're like good to go. No more flinching.
Because nobody wants to get hit in the face is the problem. I don't know about you, but I don't want to get hit in the face.
I mean, I don't want to get hit in the face either, right? But like, get out the way, right? Like then you're like, no flinching. No, I'm just kidding. No.
It's not like a shot. You could just take it and right, we're good. Could change your life.
Right. No, I mean, I give a lot of respect to the people that go as far as just even amateur fighting. Like, if that's the most you go, and then you decide like it's not for you, and you don't want to go pro, like, fuck it, man. You at least got in the cage or you got in the ring. Like, I'll give you a lot of props right there. Yeah, it does. I just don't know if I feel like the media need to. Like, do we say this about basketball or football reporters? Do they need to have the experience of getting tackled or trying to, push for a drive for a layup or, hit a freaking 15-footer? Like, do we ask them of that?
I mean, you don't. Obviously, you don't expect every reporter to be an ex-pro or something. People have different insight. Do I think people who have done what you have done have similar insight? Yeah. Okay. But not everybody needs some experience. I think it would benefit, you might have
maybe some training, but a little bit, not like full blown like amateur fights, but training.
Yeah. I don't think you need to be an amateur fighter to be a reporter.
No. I mean, and I don't know myself, but I'm pretty sure it takes a lot of study and a lot of hard work just to be in journalism and to get to the position where you are at eventually. That's a lot of like, I'd have to imagine like how tough it is. For example, like if I try to go out and talk to like, let's say Keldon Johnson of the San Antonio Spurs, I have no credentials. I have no, journalism degree or shit like that. Do you think he's really going to take the time to talk to me?
Probably not. And it's just because what are you giving him? You know what I mean?
Right. What
is he getting out of it? Nothing. You might fangirl over it or something, but
I'll fangirl.
That's about it. Hey, you got to tell people about your fangirl moment.
Hey, I'll tell all the time, big man. When if I'm on Twitter and I post something and then like a celebrity likes it, like Jorge Masvidal or Cesaro from the WWE, I'm like, I'm there, baby. I'll take it. That's why
you're famous now.
I'm famous. The Milwaukee Bucks follow my Twitter, bro. Like, PPS_podcast. They follow us. Like, if the Bucks follow us, that's it. That's all we need, right? Not even the Spurs. Like, the Bucks follow us. Like, that tells you a lot.
You got to get the Patriots.
Oh, it's a long way to go. I love you guys. It's okay. Tom Brady, love you too. Champion.
But yeah, I don't think reporters need to be an amateur fighter. That's a little overboard.
Yeah, I feel like reporters like fully like studied hard for their positions. They had to have studied hard for the profession they're going. Like, imagine like someone like how I mentioned earlier, Ariel Helwani. Like, who the fuck was reporting MMA before him or before like these other names that started doing MMA? Like, nobody. Like Stephen A. Smith and all these other guys, they were all into basketball and football. Like, nobody was going for MMA. And MMA and UFC's been around for what, like almost 30 years? Like in a few years? Like, nobody was doing it. So like to go to have the cojones, like, hey, like I know you're a fighter, I ain't fucking nobody. Like, can we talk? And I'll put you out on the platform. Like, it's a little small give and take, right? Like, the fighters gotta trust the reporters, and you build up, relationships past that. I don't like, and if you did the hard work already right there for your career, I don't think there's a reason for you to have to get in the cage.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, you can ask good questions without having a fight sense. Again, I think it would help, but I don't see it being a requirement. I don't think that's a smart thing.
I mean, I don't think every MMA reporter needs to have a cauliflower ear to like prove their point.
No, Jesus Christ, no. Definitely not. I mean, you can, like I said, if you are a fighter, you having experience in this fight game, you have a better chance of asking some really good questions and maybe having that particular fighter really like you and want to talk to you more.
Yeah.
But that's about it, man. I don't think there's new fighters who could become a reporter and be better than them.
Yeah.
So they've been doing it long enough to where they can see what happened and talk about it and discuss it just fine. I don't see them needing to be amateur fighters. That's crazy.
Freaking loco indeed. All right, Jay. Well, that's all I have for today, man. I appreciate you coming on. Do you want to tell people where they can find you at, or do you even want people to find you?
I mean, you can find me on Instagram, Jesse4B11. Or if you play Xbox, Chucky Larms 96 if you want to work on some Warzone.
Oh, you went the step further. But then you did it on the podcast too. You're just like, just find me in the box. Just like, I'll beat you there too.
Yeah, I mean that's where I'm at. So, but yeah, man, appreciate you for having me on.
Of course, man. Appreciate every time that you come and take your time of the day to talk to me. I know, buddy. You're the experienced one. Of course.
Either,
I know you.
True.
All right, guys. You can follow the podcast at Budo Pinche Sports Podcast on Instagram, at PPS_podcast on Twitter. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor. Let us know what you think. Send this video, share it, spread the word. Do you like Jesse? Do you want to see him again? Do you want me to bring another Jesse? Because I know him, but he doesn't know much about sports. So you let me know, guys. Appreciate your time watching the video. Jesse, thanks again, brother. Love you.
Appreciate you. Love you, man.
Budo Pinche Sports.